Are we on Twitch?
Unlike Donkey Kong. Actually, I'm gonna switch this to.
Kitty Weedy. Who's your precious kitty?
There
Who's
you
your
go,
precious
Twitch.
kitty?
It'll be on all of them. Yeah.
All right. Don't. What is happening?
I'm hearing myself.
I forgot to mute. Okay.
Jesus, Kyle.
My bad. Anyways, hello. Welcome to Red Shirt Rejects. I'm one of your hosts, Kyle Nelson.
And I'm the other host, the one they don't like to talk about, Trevor Law. And the guy below us is Kenny. He produces everything.
Yeah. All the things. Produces
Yeah,
everything.
all the
It's
things.
too much, honestly. For me to be honest. Hey, we are a small group, so.
Yeah, it is. It is a lot.
Yeah.
So anyways, here it is. Finally, our day, the day we talk about Star Trek in
Dread it, run from it, destiny arrives.
It's
It's a good reference, though. I like that.
It is. But first, we have the news. There's a lot of it, so I'm just going to try to run through this a little bit. Trevor, I know you wanted to talk about Lower Decks, so we'll go to that here in just a second. But first bit of news, Shatner in space! Captain Kirk finally got on the big blue rocket and went to space. I watched a bit of it. It was fun, mainly because it was the propaganda straight from The Expanse, just beamed directly over CNN. Like they didn't even CNBC is the one I was watching it on. Didn't even have their own stream. It was just Amazon's literal propaganda desk broadcasting for them. It was fantastic. Other thing, Shatner gets out of the pod and he's real shook up. He's devastated. It's this is the most beautiful thing he's ever seen. The overview effect absolutely happens to him.
Okay, so he's actually a human being.
He's a human being, and he comes out and he's just he's shook, and he is just needs to talk to anyone about this, because he just can't. And then eventually Bezos comes up to him, and they start getting in a conversation, and the camera is on them, and Shatner is not paying any attention to the fact that there's a camera and a mic on him. I still don't know, even to this point, if he knows that they were recording that, because he is being candid about everything. In the midst of it, Jeff Bezos just takes a champagne bottle and just starts shaking it up and spraying it on people. And then he's just stuck there with Shatner for 10 minutes. And he can't look away. He can't get away, because he's this man's bearing his soul, and it's Captain Kirk, and Bezos can see the camera. So he just has to sit there and stand there and look really interested forever. Anyway, it was wonderful. I enjoyed it.
You know what? Maybe that's what we should do to the billionaire tax. What it should be is, you don't lose your money. You have to listen to people's problems and then try your best to genuinely solve those problems in a way that will emotionally fulfill the other person.
Right? What was great is Shatner was everybody needs to see this. Everybody needs to go in this. We need to everybody needs to see this. And Bezos could actually, everyone medically viable, it's his company, it's his rockets. He has more money than God. He probably could, at cost, put everybody, at least in the U.S., up on a rocket. I say do it. Jeff Bezos, you can do it. All right, so moving on. Lower Decks. Their finale was tonight.
Yeah, the finale was I think it was. I watched it this morning, so
I have still not watched it.
Either it dropped Wednesday night or early this morning. Either way,
midnight on Thursday or whatever.
I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys since it is so new, but Lower Decks is telling every other Star Trek show that's currently out right now, this is how it's done. Like, I don't know what you guys have been doing, but this is what we're doing. And it is incredible. And even if you don't like Star Trek, like if you do like Star Trek, you will get more out of it. But if you don't, it's just a good show with a lot of heart, and it's very funny.
It is. It's funny. I've really enjoyed it. To me, it's giving me the hit of Star Trek that I need and go seek out Star Trek for that I do not get from the new shows.
I will spoil this for you, Kyle.
Okay.
I will spoil this. They go to the Cretaceous lab.
I know. The reason I know this is Titmouse, the studio. They're the ones who animate this show, and they have a deal with their companies that they do the animation for, that they get to sell their own merch basically off of the animations that they do. And so they have a line of shirts. There's like a special shirt for every episode of season 2. They're fantastic. I bought 2. I plan on buying more. I just need to get them in and like try them and see if they fit. But the one for this week's episode was 2 of the cetacean officers in the pool with their uniforms, and I just thought it was magnificent. I just can't wait to watch it.
It's pretty funny.
I love that they waited to reveal that in season 2. Like they waited till the last bit, and they've been teasing it the whole time.
What's great is like it's not even a plot. It's not even a really significant plot point. It's just like, oh, they happen to go here.
Well, they have mentioned the cetacean lab multiple times. At one point, someone is cracking a joke about losing to one of them at chess. Like there's all these bits, and like the one girl that I think. Anyways, they've mentioned it multiple times. It's been in the background. It's just been this running joke, and I'm glad they finally have done it. Pulled the trigger.
So, but that's it. I'm hoping we can do an episode, at least one episode, on all of season 2 of Lower Decks before the end of the year. Yeah. That's the and that's it. That's all I got on the Lower Decks.
Well, moving on to the next news item, because we have a lot, is the Choquete casting has been revealed to be true. Commander Choquete, Robert Beltran himself, will be returning to Star Trek, this time in Star Trek Prodigy. He spoiled this a while ago at a convention, and everyone was like, no, we can't confirm or deny, but he's there. As a captain this time. They have apparently promoted him.
But only animated, right? He's just doing voice acting?
Yes, he's just doing the voice acting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was really, honestly, because he's very checked out of Star Trek.
Put the lines in front of him and write him a check.
Absolutely. He is that. So I was really worried because I was afraid we were going to have a Marlon Brando situation where the people talking to him had to have the scripts taped to their chests.
God. But anyway, so he's going to be returning, and he's also not going to be the only person that they have released several of these. So first up, I'm going to be reading this loosely from TrekCore. So if you want to see the original reporting, go to trekcore.com. So the first one is David Diggs will voice Commander Tyses, an Andorian. Diggs is a Grammy Award and Tony Award-winning member of the original Broadway cast of Hamilton and currently stars in the TNT television adaptation of Snowpiercer. I'm really excited. Jamila Jamil will voice Ensign Ansia, a Trill. Jamil is known for the United States for her. She was in
The Good Place, yeah.
And she's been cast. She's going to be She-Hulk.
No, she's not. She's She-Hulk's arch nemesis. She's not She-Hulk. She's in She-Hulk.
Oh, okay.
I think she's Titania.
Oh, even better. Who's She-Hulk?
I don't remember.
I'd have to look it up. I wanted to say it was Tatiana, but I can't remember what her last name is.
Oh, yeah, the female Gary Oldman. Okay, yeah. She's good at everything. She's literally good at everything.
She's good at everything.
That's
So
a
good in
great
Perry
reference,
Mason, by the way.
Yeah.
Her character completely immaterial to the A plot of Perry Mason. Character probably should have been written out, but she was fantastic.
Like she could play Jaws, like, and she would be great.
Shark and Jaws.
Yeah, like she could be the shark in Jaws, and she would be fine.
Well, at least we know she's as good as Ben Affleck. And then the final one is Jason Alexander, who will voice Dr. Noam, a Tellarite. The actor still best known for his role as George Costanza on Seinfeld.
God, he was born to play Tellarite.
After appearing as Kuros in the 1999 Voyager episode Think Tank.
Him and Larry David would make incredible Tellarites.
Oh,
absolutely. Tellarites.
No. You got to make Larry David an Andorian because they hate each other naturally.
Tellarites hate each other though. Like they hate each other.
They hate each other. They hate other aliens.
Like
they hate themselves.
Like their form of affection is arguing with people.
It's the best thing. So good. It's so good. All right. So, in addition,
Larry David a cameo in that now.
Strange New Worlds has wrapped season 1. Yay!
Hey!
So that means now the post-production cycle begins in full. So hopefully we'll get a date on it soon. But we probably won't because the IATSE strike starts Monday.
Yay!
So the president of IATSE announced this yesterday that it'll start Monday unless their deal gets done, unless they're willing to do it. So it's happening, and this is going to shut down Hollywood because now all the other guilds and such are all talking about going on strike in support of them. So it's gonna. So yay! It wrapped. Glad they got it done. They're never gonna get it edited until all this is settled.
Yeah, it's just sitting in the cans.
Yeah, it's gonna be sitting in a can. Just maybe not a literal can. Maybe just some hard drives. But
yeah, they do hard drives now. I guess. Yeah,
because there's no way they shoot Strange New Worlds on film. No way.
That would be very little odd.
Be wasteful.
Yeah, very wasteful. All right.
And also, the talking about things that we're probably not going to get to see because of the strike, the new Star Trek Discovery. By the way, for the record, go on strike. Like, do it.
Oh, yeah.
Kick him in the nards. Don't make this. Yeah. I'm not one of those nerds that's like, I'm not going to be able to watch my stuff until this. Rather the people working on this get like lunch breaks.
To all the guild members who are striking against like faceless corporations, get paid.
Absolutely, and put your Venmos out on Twitter. Anyways, so Star Trek Discovery Season 4 trailer dropped. I'm not even going to bother quoting the release date because it's not going to be. They're going to change it. Mm-hmm. But what'd you guys think?
It looked fine.
Oh my god, we have a new threat for the season? I'm amped. I'm excited.
Okay, so it's impossible for me to become genuinely excited about Discovery. Like, I can't do it.
They've hurt me too much.
However, I'm happy that it's a threat that's not like an alien invasion or something like that. It's an anomaly. I like the look of the new Ferengi. I don't understand why people are upset that they look more like goblins. They're space goblins. They always have been.
Yeah, some of it's just
that's like getting angry that somebody made Vulcans look more like elves.
I'll be honest. I saw like 2 comments about people hating the Ferengi look. The vast majority of people online are like, "Yeah, the Ferengi look awesome."
Have you been in the Star Trek shitposting group, though?
Absolutely.
And they had to pick, like, the most low-res version photo of it. And I'm like, well, that photo also just looks like shit. I don't...
Yeah.
I love that, and I actually counted, Kyle. This is the 7th costume change. There's 2 new costumes in the trailer, and it is the 7th.
What are you talking about?
Are you talking about on Discovery?
Yes.
No. The main cast has not changed their uniforms until this season.
So in season 1, they had slightly different uniforms for the pilot, and then
same ones.
Okay, we'll get into this later, but it's the seventh set. Anyway, moving right along from that. Y'all are gonna get mad at me, but whatever.
All right, go ahead.
I don't want to talk about the uniforms.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Yeah.
I do like the new uniforms, like that they've got, because they show two different, like a more casual uniform and then a
more
like
militaristic one.
Yeah, which I don't know why they're doing two different uniforms here. I would assume one's a dress uniform.
That's what I was wondering about. Because have we seen them in grays? In like a gray one?
No,
like,
we saw them
Admiral?
in the grays at the very end of season 3. And the gray uniform was the one that everybody was wearing throughout season 3.
So the only thing I thought of was, but we only saw everyone inside of Starfleet on the station. I don't know if we saw a shot of anyone else on another Federation ship, which makes me think, because that's not uncommon. Is that in a space like this is the uniform of the day that everyone needs to wear when you're in this space, almost like going to the Pentagon. I would never wear an Air Force, like you'd have to wear blues. You have to wear your dress blues going to the Pentagon. That is what it is. So I thought it might be like that, and then maybe this is what they're going to save for the actual being on operation.
Yeah, that's
ship.
their duty uniform.
I'm assuming it's going to be something like that too. And also, it's important to note that they may have to like change the uniform because Starfleet has been fragmented.
Yeah.
And so it's entirely possible that you've got people with radically different uniforms now that they're having to like, we kind of need to patch all this together, guys.
I'm sure there's an in-canon reason that they can cook up or not, because Star Trek is notorious about not really really explaining the mechanics of how this works and just like rolling with it.
The mechanics are the captain can just change them at a whim, and Starfleet's fine with it. That is my headcanon for how it works.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, I can say that now. Yeah,
I want to be mad at him, but I can't.
So yeah, I thought the trailer was fine. Like it's a fine trailer. It's just I'm exhausted. I'm already exhausted. Like watching that trailer. I'm tired, man. We've been dealing with this pandemic. I don't need any more like galaxy ending, like killing 1 billion people. Like, give me some trade negotiations, man. Just something
like Wesley Crusher falling into some glass, and then they have to execute him.
Got to be put to death.
Yeah, like give me those episodes.
Right.
Yeah, that's right, Kenny. That was an actual episode.
That was an episode. That's a season 1 episode. Yeah, it's because like during certain times, it's the stupidest rules. It's so anytime.
Or like
anytime it's turned blue, or the certain time of day, certain parts of this lawn, basically, you couldn't step on. It just so happened that he was catching a ball and he fell over the line. And nope, sorry, it's death time now.
See, I have not watched the first season of TNG in a decade. I have refused to do it. And every time I hear something like this, I'm just like, I feel vindicated. I feel validated. Like I don't think I'm good.
It's literally the first Prime Directive episode. It's called Prime Directive. It's fantastic because somehow, even though they were down there hanging out with those people, like it's like I don't know. It's weird. Speaking of trailer. Yeah, the first trailer for the Center Seat on History Channel debuts. So the Nacelle Company, which is known for its podcast network and its Netflix documentaries, The Blank That Made Us, is producing a Star Trek-centered series called Center Seat for the History Channel. We're still waiting on the premiere date and episode count. But it's supposed to be a very in-depth, granular level, deep dive look into all of Star Trek.
Okay.
So they interviewed everybody. So I'm excited to see it. It'll be fun. And then the last bit of news is the first 2 of the 3 Star Trek Coda novels are out. The last one comes out November 20th. For those who don't follow the books, ever since Enterprise ended, the books continued the continuity of Star Trek beyond Enterprise. Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, my sound went out. So essentially what happened is they continued everything across all the lines. So there's a whole very evolved continuity that has been continued on for, say, 20 years or so. And now that Picard is out, they essentially have had to kill that continuity. And they know the time is coming where they're going to have to merge in with like established continuity and lore now. So what they're doing is they actually decided, all those writers got together and decided, let's end it on our terms. And so they've written a 3-novel trilogy to end out that continuity.
That makes sense.
So, and it's going to be fun to see if they're going to like do some. I haven't read them, but the Star Trek novels have been very good. So I'm excited to see how they end it. And speaking of ending things,
Very cool.
the news has ended.
So is this the end of the beginning?
This is the end of the beginning.
Okay.
The end is the beginning is the end. Just like Star Trek Into Darkness.
So this is... I have only one thing to say about Star Trek Into Darkness.
Okay, what is it?
I didn't hate it.
I will say I hated it less this time.
Like it didn't get me frothing at the mouth, and like I've not watched it since many years ago. But it was just like the weird leaps and just what's the word I'm looking for? Just random bits of, and then this happens. It's just like, all right, it's just a montage of blowing things up. It's like the Nemesis car chase scene, but a whole movie of that. It's like they saw the Nemesis car chase scene and was like,
That's
let's do the whole thing.
Man, well, I guess let's talk about things we liked about it first.
It's pretty.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think on a technical level, this is a superior movie than 2009. I think, and the reason that I really want to hear Kenny's thoughts, because every time I say something like this, he like cringes. I'll just say my feeling is that J.J. Abrams is a bit more restrained and his execution more refined for this. He's not being obnoxious about lighting. There's markedly less lens flare in this than there was in 09 or in Super 8, which is the film he did prior to this one. Significantly less than what's in Super 8. I think part of that has to do with he worked a lot with larger cameras and with IMAX cameras, and some of that is just not technically possible with those type of cameras unless you're just being just an asshole with lighting. Just straight up. There's just no way. But yeah, and he's also more restrained. Like, I feel like the action shots are clearer. They're not as blurry. Like, I can clearly see and understand the things that are happening. It's not particularly good in some spots, particularly like at the ending fight scene. It's pretty bad, but I think it's better than it was on 09. So I think it's pretty. Like, I actually like the lighting choices and the color choices. I am convinced Abrams hates the TOS uniforms that he's required to use because it's Star Trek, because literally anytime they're not on the bridge set, he tries not to have them in it.
Yeah, puts them in some kind of jumpsuit or that new ruffled gray, which I've got a photo of for a moment.
It's so redundant. Like, why would you need that to just get on a shuttle? Like, there's no helmet with it.
Yeah, that would have made more sense. Not get sucked out into the blackest space, which is okay. It is hard to talk about the technical parts of this without getting into the narrative, so I'm gonna just hold that for a moment. But the things that are done well suffer because where I would argue 09 is done better, and I brought this up when we did that review, is that scenes lead into scenes in a very good screenwriting building block process of, we have mentioned this thing here, now we see this paid off here, Ergo, let's go back to the debris field scene in '09. That is all built from the prologue, hearing Uhura's overhearing that message, putting two and two together, presenting his case on the bridge. Spock backs him. We jump into, oh dear God, build. This movie has none of that.
None.
So,
absolutely none.
It is. He does shoot a better film. I'd agree with you that the camera because at the time the Alexa LF mini camera was a twinkle in people's eye. And for people that don't understand, that camera is the best. Like there's multiple versions of the Alexa camera, but it has allowed everyone to do IMAX way better, shoot entire scenes in IMAX, and not have to worry about the weight of that camera because that camera was yes. But yes, in this movie, you can kind of see that effect. And again, the lens flare is down. To your point, the shaky cam is not as bad. Like if we go back to the Narada fight, we're not like what is going on? It's like we don't have that going on. But I just don't. I'm not what I should be impressed by just doesn't happen because there's no weight. Like why are we here? Why are we in this specific? But I'll save more of that for when we get to the screenplay. But that's my problem with the technical achievement. It's just
no matter how well you shoot it, I don't really care about what's happening on the screen. What'd you like, Trevor?
So, I mean, the cast of this movie, of all the Abrams new Trek stuff, is still really good, and like they're given this nonsense and they're forced to sell it, and they go all out.
They go hard.
Like there's no restraint. They completely own every line they're saying. Like as stupid as it is. There's like, oh man, there's so many lines that Khan says in this movie that are permanently seared in my brain because of how magnificently Benedict Cumberbatch delivers the performance, even though I hate it. Like he's just selling it, and he knows it's garbage. He knows the strip is garbage. You can see it in his eyes, but he's like, they want me to be like crazy villain. So
he literally like almost curls his lips up into like a Grinch smile, and it's so absurd. He chews every inch of scenery in this movie,
and you know what? God love him for it. He's one of the most watchable. I'm definitely not saying best, but one of the most watchable Star Trek villains.
Yeah, he hams it up.
He does.
And I do like a lot of him and Kirk's interactions as opposed to one another. It's not as great as what they're obviously riffing from, which I know we're gonna get to in a second. But for those like the jail scene, aside from the one line that we all are like, why is that here? That doesn't mean anything to anyone in this universe. Genre. Like, and that's fan service gone wrong.
This whole movie is fan service gone wrong.
It's those seeds we talked about in the previous movie that are coming to fruition. They hammered down on it, doubled down on it hard. But yeah, the jail cell scene was pretty good. Spock gets to have some good moments opposite of Khan once he's in control of the Enterprise and trying to outsmart him. I like that pretty well.
Simon Pegg really shines in this movie.
Absolutely. Scotty owns this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is basically his movie. And he has no arc. He has a flat arc. He's the Paddington of this movie.
But it's true. Because he was right. He was right for the jump. He didn't have to change. It's like, sir, this is dumb. This is a bad idea.
I was right in the end. I was right at the beginning.
And look at what you did to my ship! Just, love it.
So Harrison, Marcus, Admiral Marcus.
Don't you say anything bad about Peter Weller.
When I think of the least compelling villains.
Oh my God, you're kidding me.
He is now tied with the Klingon from Star Trek 3 for me. that cat.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
he is now tied all the way down to the bottom here of just unhinged lunatics
But
who
that's
are
what
out
makes
to
him so
kill
good.
as many people as possible. And I'm just like Starfleet is so incompetent. They're seeing the Enterprise getting the absolute crap blown out of it by the super star destroyer that he's built.
We can get more into that with
Oh.
this, like, with the story problems.
Okay.
But I think as a character, like, I found him much more compelling than Khan, at least in the way Khan features in this film.
He makes sense.
Yeah.
He's like, screw the Klingons. This isn't gonna last. No, we need to go. We need to be proactive and take them out. Okay, got it. That's a very simple.
That is not my problem with him. My
And this is
problem
also
is
like just after Vulcan, and the context of like after Vulcan has been destroyed, it makes sense for him to be like, we need to be prepared.
those are not my issues with him. My issues are with him is he goes from that to blowing up the Enterprise very quickly. There is no hesitation.
Oh no, no, they're in the way of the mission.
And he's such a freaking lunatic that he is in a massive fight from Kronos to Earth, which is apparently right next door. Don't know how that works, but anyway, like gets into a running fight with the Enterprise, and then over Earth's moon, dropping out of warp. Which, by the way, Federation sensors can see when things drop out of warp.
Yeah,
in their home system.
Yeah.
Just like, what was his plan after he blew up the Enterprise?
Yeah, I don't know what was going on with that.
He could have said the Klingons took over the ship.
There wouldn't have been any Klingon DNA when they did a scan.
I think that's an aspect of the just horrendous writing in this. I find him compelling because of the way he's established, not so much the way he ends up becoming. Primarily because I kind of ignore the last half of this movie to enjoy the first half of this movie.
Also, I had to include the shot of the desk. I had to,
absolutely,
because really.
And that's a really good shot of his uniform. I really love that from just a design perspective. I really think the production design on this is so good, and they do wonderful callbacks to previous stuff. And that's like a straight up Kelvin universe timeline of Kirk's uniform from the motion picture.
Yeah, just missing the Power Ranger buckle.
Yeah,
I just love though that it's supposed to be a secret. Like Scotty has and like the model sitting right there.
Yeah, that was so Roberto Orsi has actually gone on record and said that was a very dumb thing for them to include, and if I had been on set that day, that would not have happened, because he just thinks it's very dumb for all the reasons everybody thinks it's dumb. The in-universe reason I've seen for that is trying to say it's an implication that the Vengeance was a pre-existing design that was modified. Of course, it's not. So,
horse shit.
Yeah.
It is the only Starfleet vessel, I think, other than the Delta Flyer, that is completely black.
The Delta Flyer isn't completely black.
It's not. Then yeah, it's completely black. It is.
Yeah, it is. And actually,
don't tell me you have it. Why would he have that?
The Delta Flyer? I can see him having.
No, not the Delta Flyer. I meant like.
No,
Okay.
I have a lot of Eagle Moss models that we're eventually doing a review on when I get around to writing. But they released a special edition version of the Vengeance, and honestly, it's pretty aesthetically pleasing. Like when you
what if we made the Enterprise? But wait, what's that? Oh, that's just part of the model. Okay.
Yeah, it's the V that's cut into it. Yeah, I really like the way it looks, like a ugly, angry turkey.
It's not a bad looking. Now, and what we can see on yours, it's not a bad looking.
Yeah, you can't see.
What we can see in the movie, though, is utter garbage. Just going back to the technical parts on this movie. That's probably one of the worst pieces. It just doesn't look good in the movie. So yes, your models, shots I've seen after it, when people just like put the different like CGI models and stuff that you can watch online or sketches of it. That's great. I just wish they'd cared to show that off in the movie.
Yeah, there's a whole documentary on that and on the special features. But yeah, I think so. I guess let's just get into the badness of this movie, the writing. For me personally, I think that the biggest problem of this comes from a tonal resin. Like, it just doesn't gel together. Like, it feels like there's primarily two different themes in this movie, and they, at a glance, seem complementary, but actually are like impeding the growth in the movie and making it feel weird. So I did, because it was bothering me. I did some stuff on the back of a paper. There's a way of writing, a method of writing called the Mice quotient, which essentially lays out different things that stories can be and different methods of. It's really good at trying to thread multiple plot arcs throughout a story. And the main primary rule of it is going to be any plot thread you introduced first is the one that goes out last. So as you progress into anything, it creates asymmetry. And so if you bring up an arc or a plot thread or a story type, say an hour into the movie, that should close out before you get to the main thing. Because essentially you should always start off a story with your main arc. And in this movie, I would say it starts off with the idea of ethics. It starts off with the idea of, like, we have this ethical dilemma, this thing that the Federation believes in, and deciding how they're going to treat that. And Kirk's whole arc is about dealing with the ethics of Starfleet. But that, like, ends halfway through the movie. He progresses in his growth, and it arc's over. And then it starts a whole new arc about what people would be willing to do for their family, for their found family. And it's jarring to me, I think.
So I like the Kobayashi Maru test in the first one, but I would argue you could flip these. You could flip the beginning and put that. Now again, that wouldn't be perfect. You'd have to fix that, obviously. Yeah. But him having prime directive issues in the first one would still show his issues of control and respecting Starfleet. And obviously, I do think they're kind of continuing that theme from the first movie, which is I don't think that's a bad idea.
That's a good idea.
But the sacrifice that happens at the end, to me, doesn't gel with the lessons that we're trying to have him to learn in the beginning.
Like, we already know Kirk is willing to sacrifice himself for his crew. That's not.
Yeah, we're not learning anything about it.
Yeah, that's not the big sacrifice here. Like, if you a sacrifice for Kirk would be like admitting he's wrong, or
losing his ship. Like
something like that.
Yeah. So to Kyle's point, and this is where I like to have the conversation with you. Is like, do you feel like the scene with Marcus in the meeting room is the echoing of the beginning, or do you feel like that echo just never happens? Because I'm kind of leaning toward the latter, is that the echo really never. Are you talking about happens.
The ending of that first one of the ethics dilemma?
Yeah.
So that arc closes out the moment he decides to disobey Admiral Marcus and physically go to Kronos. So when he chooses not to fire the torpedo, that's him choosing the ethics and mission of Starfleet over his own personal feelings, which is what he was doing prior. He was taking Starfleet ethics and putting his own personal feelings over it because he felt like he should violate the Prime Directive in order to help these specific people, because he's more important and his ethical compass is more important than the ethics of the organization. And at that point, he's obeying the ethics of his family, his crew, over his own personal feelings, which is shoot the son bitch.
Yeah. So then I think, okay, no, I'd agree with that. Yeah, so then you've lost the way to emotionally wrap the ending in a
Yeah, absolutely. It's because that stops his growth stops there. Essentially, the rest of the movie is sort of like, this is what happens when you have emotional growth, but it's like aimless. Like, and so they pick up a whole new thread to contrast, because this whole movie is basically a series of contrasts between one thing or another thing, whether it is the old canon of Wrath of Khan or whether it is contrasting characters against each other. But
sorry, this is what makes Khan even more frustrating.
Yeah,
is because you could leave Harrison in this movie as a contrasting.
It changes nothing.
But I was again, you're still gonna have to. The third act's gonna still need work.
Yeah.
But you could have that. You could continue that conversation. Like, yes, the choice of not firing the torpedoes, going on to Klingon. Like, now you're starting to see the reverberations of that toward the last act. But having Harrison there, maybe he's as a defender of Harrison, effectively. Like, look, I don't necessarily agree with. Like, yeah, we're gonna have our thing out, and I'm gonna take you in because that's like I'm not gonna pour my wrath out on you because I really want to. It's like I really want to because you got Admiral Pike killed. It's like, but I'm gonna there's two things he could be fighting there. It's like, one, I'm trying to wrangle Harrison in, not do that, and then fight off Marcus. And I think you could resolve that without it turning into the Con Fest, which again has no impact. And then you don't need to necessarily have that sacrifice at the end that just doesn't really, again, because it's not for the crew, it's not for us, because again, like Trevor said, we already know. So just resolve the ethical, or continue to flesh out that ethical dilemma, or wrap it up in a nice little bow at the end.
Yeah, and I feel like, honestly, I feel like that's where the script is at war and where there's a production issue with the writing. Because, like, Kurtzman and Orsi, I think, were on the rocks at this point when they were during the writing of this. Because they did the original treatment, and then as it progresses, it ends up just being Orsi and Lindelof, who they're the ones that locked themselves in a hotel room for 5 weeks to finish writing the script. And it's them who's doing the rewrite on the fly while filming this movie. They've said, like Lindelof said, they rewrote it like 50 times, probably not literally 50 times, obviously, but they rewrote it a lot because they were trying to still find the movie while they were filming it. And I think that shows, because if you can't have that like propulsive one scene leading to the next, leading to the next, leading to the next, without it being very tightly plotted how that works. And you can tell that they don't have that here. And looking at how Abrams shot one of his later films, Rise of Skywalker, I honestly think it shows part of his process is like running through scenes in multiple iterations with characters, and just sometimes doing scenes that are not even like completely ad-libbed, completely opposite of the plot. And I don't know how much of that happened in this one, but according to Zachary Quinto, because this was a writer's strike script, they started developing it before, and because of the secrecy and because of writer strikes, they could not coordinate with the actors on the scripts. So eventually they got the scripts, and there were significant rewrites based off of their feedback. So there's just a lot going on with how the movie was written. I think that really has that. But the biggest problem is with Orsi and Lindelof. Apparently, they fought for a year about whether or not Khan was even going to be in this movie, because originally Khan was not in this movie.
Who wanted Khan to be in the movie?
Lindelof. Lindelof was Camp Khan, and Orsi was Camp No Khan. And that's because Orsi was only wanting to tell the story about Admiral Marcus, essentially. So the Admiral Marcus arc, Section 31, starting a false flag attack with the Klingons, and I'm not sure if Harrison existed in that earlier version of the script, but to me it feels like he's like an Edward Snowden whistleblower sort of character is what they probably initially envisioned. And like,
okay.
And
for the time period, that also tracks.
It's absolutely relevant to the time period, and certain political views that Orsi has, I think, really sincerely motivated him to tell that story. And I think it's a better story than what we got, because Khan does feel so shoehorned in there, and that was done specifically because the argument that won was that, one, it's what the fans want. The fans are clamoring to see their version of Khan, because that was like, I mean, I'm sure you all remember, it was a huge talk on the internet about Khan being the next one and wanting to see Khan. So they gave the fans what they wanted was one. Two, they felt like unless they did, that's all fans would be able to talk about until they did it. So if they didn't do it in this movie, fans would have kept talking about it and they would have kept getting harassed by Khan. So it's almost like they put Khan in this movie to just get it done and get it out, which I think is understandable, but that's probably not the best creative choice. That's at least my thought. And because of that, I think that's why the script feels it's worked with itself, with themes, and why Khan just sucks. And honestly, why Marcus sucks in the end, because I don't think he's able to become the fully formed character he would have been under the other one, because so much of his plot was probably given over to Khan.
Like, just an unhinged madman.
He's a little unhinged.
All right. What would you call a U.S. admiral that targeted another U.S. ship and blew it up right outside Washington, D.C.?
Trevor, I don't know how to tell you this. That has happened.
Like with sailors on? When?
We'll talk about it.
One and two, that I'm not saying he's not realistic. What I am saying is that makes him an unhinged madman.
But at the same time, to the plot of this movie, so the movie does not think that Marcus is a good person and does not think that he has a point, and they never really allow him the breadth to give his argument some voice beyond that one scene where he sort of vaguely goes over stuff but doesn't go into specifics about it. But I do feel like if they had fully fleshed him out further, they could have drawn more nuance in there and made him seem like less of a madman. I don't think that they thread the needle of making his point seem sincere and not insane, and making him not look that way. So they don't thread that.
Exactly. I'm not saying they couldn't have made some of the things he did justifiable, like from a character standpoint. Yeah. But they don't do it in this movie, and so instead, it's like, I'm going to build this ship to blow up as many things as possible.
They don't do the work of making that really stick. I think that I can squint and I can see it and I can understand what the motivation was aimed to be, but I also agree that they never had that second scene, I feel like, earnestly, because they do have that second scene where they had talk on the bridges of the ship, but it's pretty short, and it doesn't make him look better or make him look more reasonable. But I think that is
at that point he's just shouting,
right?
Yeah. It's like, you want to take me out of this chair, you have to kill me. Like, oh. Okay.
I mean, they just shot a bunch of people like a second ago. So,
because that doesn't. What do you expect? Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I think that end of the story is more compelling. They just weren't given the ability to finish it. But I do feel like that's why the last 30 minutes of the movie drags so hard. Because the arc was kind of done already, and then the main bad guy's actually dead, and now we're left with Lackey Boss as the bad guy, but the Lackey Boss is Khan. So now he's important, even though we don't really know him or what he did or why it should be a problem. But so far, he's just kind of been helping them. He did some bad things, but he helped them get the bad guy, right? He becomes just an absolutely malevolent jackass the second he gets the captain's chair, and it's Khan wasn't even that bit of a bad guy in the original series. No,
he granted he did try to murder Kirk.
He did quickly. But, who isn't going to try to murder Kirk at some point? But after he failed to murder Kirk, he felt like they were equals. It's like, oh, I have changed a new leaf. You've
You're
shown me
not-
something.
You're
not that.
no,
No,
no.
not in the slightest.
Like Khan was always a megalomaniac who thinks everything he does is justified because it's for the greater glory of whatever cause he's doing this week. Augments, humans, whatever.
Okay, can we hold on? Make sure
Yeah.
I'm on the same page. Can we talk about the glaring holes? Just plot devices that are upsetting to me.
Yeah, like for instance, how did Khan?
What's
Like
that?
this is my favorite thing. How did Khan know that they would put the torpedoes on the ship, and then that ship would not fire the torpedoes at him?
So I had to rewatch. I rewatched every scene that it discussed that aspect of the film multiple times because it's so convoluted. But the movie wants you to think that Khan knew that, but he didn't. So there's no way he knew. He did not know that his crew were on those torpedoes until Kirk told him that he was going to be using these advanced torpedoes. Because Khan put them in the tubes to smuggle them out. But he was caught, so he had to flee. Section 31 finds out that he's got them in the tubes. For some reason, I can't figure out, they put these human torpedo things on the Enterprise, but there's no warheads in them. And they tell him that these are the torpedoes he's got to kill Khan with, knowing that there's cryo people in there, and the torpedoes are blanks. They will not explode. They will kill no one. They will cause no damage. And then only because they go down there and Khan saves them, and then he tells him how many torpedoes he has, does Khan surrender, and at that point know that his crew are on those torpedoes.
So wait, did Section 31 want the Enterprise to fire a bunch of like cryo tubes
Yes.
onto Kronos with a guy who had a transport beaming device that could go anywhere in the galaxy?
It was one way he had already used it, so he didn't have it by that point.
So Section 31 wanted a bunch of like human augments on Kronos.
I mean, they would have been cadaverific by that point. I mean, they would have been dead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trevor, like, what universe do you think they're shooting
So
those are
dead.
going to survive?
Those were warp torpedoes. Like, they were not going
This is a universe where like the Enterprise goes careening towards Earth from thousands of miles away.
And
So
then just
yeah,
lifts up out of the clouds.
yeah, like I'm. Physics don't matter.
Oh my god! This is an aside, but I can't remember which screenwriter said this. It was one of the three that wrote it. It feels like Kurtzman, but it could be anybody. It said they asked them about the scene where they're falling from to Earth. And that's why it was in there. It's like, so we could show that gravity is dangerous. Oh my god! I didn't know. Is gravity dangerous? Is this a new concept?
Did they say it seriously?
Yes, 100%.
Did they not know how far the moon is from Earth?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, man. It's not important. They
Nothing,
need to have
nothing matters in this.
the woo bit, and then the woo bit, and the ah bit, and then the bit where it comes out of the clouds. They needed all that, man. Although,
I mean,
it was a very good set piece.
It looked pretty.
Trevor, you've seen Futurama. The moon's really not that far away when you think about it, in the grand scheme of things.
I mean, if they got a little bit of a push, they would have been. I would be cool with it, but they didn't even get that. Anyway,
It just kind of starts. It's like, well, you
It's
weren't
like-
rotating before, and you're just
Like how that
oh.
scene should have played out is the entire ship's dead. We're slowly moving towards Earth.
Yeah,
how
like-
long? Probably like 3 years.
it's a dumb scene for like all the science reasons and all the technobabble reasons, but I did think it was at least an exciting sequence, especially the bit where they're running on the wall and the part where they're hanging in the beer factory.
You know what, Kyle? That should be the tagline for this movie. I thought it was stupid, but at least it was exciting.
Yeah, like all the action sequences were great. I have no problems with that. I just didn't care about anything that was happening. I wasn't invested in anybody's character or anybody's arcs.
None.
Yeah. Also, so I mean, did we see any atmosphere burn on it at all? Like, does that?
No.
I don't recall.
No.
And then like the vengeance, just like it goes down. There's no slowing there, and yet that thing is intact. And everything I've been led to believe about these ships, as far as I can tell, is that they're not really meant to take physical damage in that way.
Right. In at least in the Prime timeline, but apparently they build these ships much more robustly in this. But also another really funny quote is that they were talking about, in the context of the rewriting segment, they were talking about how Abrams just really loves it when the bridge cracks. He really likes that.
What do you mean cracks?
Like cracks, like there are crack forms in the bridge. Like he did that in the first one with the black hole part.
Which, and again, that was great in that movie because it's just like, yes, got it now. It's like, okay, that's I'll
do it. So good.
Let me talk about red matter for a moment, because there's so much Trek things we could nitpick on this, aside from just Khan getting to the transwarp. Like, I get it, but at least red matter is just like here's a nebulous particle that they use to do a thing. It is your classic MacGuffin. Fine, whatever.
Oh no.
But then they just start adding things, and it's like these little Deus Ex Machinas just dropped in every so often.
We're talking about Khan blood now, aren't we?
That's going to be one of them. So it's like, to Trevor's point about Khan being able to even transport away. It's like, oh, that's an interesting technology. We did not think about what implications that's going to have on anything. Yeah.
Well, like, you basically just ended Starfleet.
Yeah, Starfleet's completely irrelevant. Why does he need to build this giant warship when he can literally just drop
drop a nuke on, just teleport a little bit of red matter to the core of Cronus, or some red matter equivalent.
Yeah,
because they'll have something. It may not be red matter, but they'll have something. And the Khan blood, it's atrocious. It's an affront to my sensibilities as a writer and a guy.
Bones, what are you doing with that tribble over there? Like, he's having this intense stare down with Khan.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's really bad because not only is it just kind of like offensively there, like that I have to deal with this MacGuffin at all. It's that they cut in the middle of actually a very good tense bit to do this.
So you get your Avenger style quip thrown in here super quick, and the other thing obviously with the Khan's butt is that it ties in with the overall problem with sacrifice. It's like, not only did this not need to be here, and it didn't have any impact, it also doesn't matter. And on top of it, how it should have ended, hit the hammer on the hit the nail on the hammer. Well, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
Words are hard.
Is that you kept introducing things that should just be life-shattering things. So if Khan's blood can do that,
here's the thing that really bothers me about the Con Blood 2 from another level. Like, yes, it's bad for all those reasons. It undercuts the emotional weight of the ending and makes the ending like that was already kind of like offensively mocking the original movie. I felt like because it just was so unnecessary. But yeah, it bothers me on another level, and that level is. There's like so many other it's not like the eugenics it's 300-year-old technology. They said this is not like this is stuff that they've had. So if these people have these diseases or space whatever, they already have the technology. Like they already know how to cure these diseases with this other stuff. They would have figured it out, and that's a part of canon that this show like doesn't really mess with. Is that like they ended all disease on Earth. Like Earth doesn't have like real diseases like this. So like doing this kind of motivation kind of violates canon, and it also just I think like really confuses everything. I don't like it.
And the immortality, not just that,
Now everybody are travelers.
Like it's like okay, so here's the thing. Generations makes me angry.
Yeah.
Like and arguably I think it's debatable if Generations is a worse movie. I don't really care about that debate one way or another.
Well, we'll be having that debate when we go to our list.
Yeah.
I got one more movie, and then that.
But the reason why is that I was much more emotionally invested on all the TNG cast. Whereas this cast, I'm like, they're like really pretty action figures. Like don't get me wrong, I think all the actors and actresses in this are good and they do a good job. But I don't have the same level of emotional investment I do with the TNG cast. And so when this movie is just a bunch of crazy nonsense, just thrown, it doesn't hurt me. Whereas Generations hurt me.
Yeah.
And to a lesser extent, Insurrection and Nemesis. And so, like, that's kind of why, if you're wondering, like, why I don't care that this is a nonsense movie, it's that I don't care. I don't really care about this iteration of Trek that much.
Oh man, I find the awaiting like stinger prologue sequence to this movie to be just absolutely offensive. It's so bad on multiple levels, like so many technical world building levels that they just get completely wrong. Like they don't understand the basics of physics or science. Like, how is the spaceship that flies through the void not able to hang over a volcano? Why does it have air intakes for its impulse engines that are supposed to be used in space? Cold fusion doesn't work like that.
Your ships go near the sun! Heat is not going to be an issue.
Also, if you have a suit that can withstand the heat of a tornado, you mean you don't have a suit that Kirk could have used to go into the reactor? Again, I know that time is on there. It's against them, but that... Sorry, I remembered one.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like the hook thing on the shuttle breaks off because it gets overheated. But like Spock is down there next to lava in this crappy suit, and it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, it's just like it's just really it bothers me. It bothers me on a lot of levels. Like,
it is. It really does feel like somebody was whatever. It's just Star Trek.
Yeah.
Like, that's exactly what it feels like, how they were writing it. It doesn't matter. It's just Star Trek.
Yeah. Yeah, so other thing I wanted to talk about is, so, Khan, he has a full name that, I think they only say once in the whole movie, right?
Yeah.
And it's when they talk to Spock Prime. Yeah, so his name's Khan Noonien Singh. Like, they don't talk about his origin at all in this movie. Like, they sidestep that very deftly by just not bringing up like his canon stuff very much, like very much like we won't like talk about like what he actually was or what the eugenics wars was or any of that stuff. We're just gonna like fans will get it, non-fans won't get that context. But like they lay out in the original series Space Seed episode where
he ruled Asia.
He ruled Asia. He was from Northeast Asia. He was. They've never officially state in canon like what his race or ethnicity was, but in some of the notes for Space Seed, I believe I think it's either in the script or one of the writer's notes. One of the drafts originally includes that he is from northern India, likely a Sikh. So essentially, this is another case of like we have a person of color character, and we're just gonna cast a white person. Now this is like fiction, so I guess they could just like they avoided it by not bringing it up. They omit a region of origin for him. But if you look at the original casting for the character, they were clearly like aware of that because they were basically strictly looking for Latino actors, and they were in talks with Benicio del Toro, who had originally been rumored for this and cast for the role, but apparently the talks broke down over money.
It just also seems weird. Like there's okay, so there's characters that have been written a particular way for a long time, and then they get whitewashed. Seen that happen, and then we can go like we could pick on Johansson again with Ghost in the Shell, but
Oh yeah.
This one is weird that you chose to write that way. Like just put Into Darkness. This is the thing that's always made me feel weird about Khan. It's like you didn't have to do that though. You could have said he ruled some other. And again, I know there's certain countries that you kind of for continuity to a degree. It's like him ruling that wouldn't make a lot of sense. So let's not do. It's like, but you chose Northeast Asia. That was a choice.
That was a choice.
No one was holding your hand down and said it has to be this area, damn it, or it has to be this island, or it has to be this like no one did that. So you did that. You chose that. Then didn't cast someone that would actually fit that, even though Ricardo Montalban's still fantastic actor. It's not a knock on his performance. Like it's great.
Yeah.
So he still chose someone that still doesn't quite fit that. And
and he was clearly in brownface when he did the original. Like I don't know if it was brownface. Yeah, I don't know if it was like makeup or if he just was like really tan because he was into stuff
on
like
top
that.
of that, yeah. Everybody was.
So, yeah, exactly. So and it was the '60s. So I don't know how much of his one. I don't know if it was brownface or just a tan, basically. But it's like, but he's clearly, I don't know. It's like it's really sketchy, and then they don't even like. They didn't even. I'm just so confused. Like it's 2013. Like, what are you doing? It is a fictional character though, so I guess it's like whatever. But
and again,
I think it can be summed up with it's just Star Trek.
Stop it.
I'm just saying.
I always thought that.
I think a lot of this movie are the issues that come from it are. Fuck it, it's just Star Trek.
Yeah, so like when my fan casting, let's see, I'm looking for, making sure I got his full name.
Just throw Ken Watanabe in there.
No.
Gosh, who would I put in this role?
It was Irfan Khan, or Irfan Khan. He was my fan for when they were originally doing this. He would have been perfect.
Oh, that was great. There's no knock on, was it Byzantine Cumberland, but yeah. Also, I'm sad that we're an hour in, and I got a whole list of these, and I haven't even busted them out.
Yeah, I haven't used one yet. But yeah, I always thought that he would have been a great Khan. I mean, he is a Khan. Like, so. Anyways, but yeah,
it's just Star Trek, so you know.
right? I don't know. I've always thought that was a miss. So I hope that whenever they eventually bring back Khan again, because I'm sure it will happen, that they get us a little fix.
Apparently, it came to nothing, but I do remember there was at least serious discussions of doing a Khan prequel.
Yep,
series.
Nick Meyer, was attached to it. The director of Wrath of Khan. He was attached and developed a 8-episode limited series for CBS All Access, but they've never put it in development
because it would have been weird.
Yeah.
Would have been weird.
It would have been about SETI Alpha 5. It would have been about that period.
Oh.
Yeah. It would have been about him like landing and then the disaster and then leading his crew through surviving. So it would have been a survival story.
Oh no.
There's a pretty good comic series that already did that. That was pretty good. I mean, survival stories are fun, I think.
I don't think this would be a fun survival story.
And this would have been a movie, right?
8 episodes.
Series.
Yeah, I don't.
I have to think about that one. I did forget 2 things I really liked about this stuff.
Okay.
So, and I pulled one of the photos. So, the Klingon design,
Klingons look fantastic.
So good.
really good. I also pulled the uniform up real quick too. Yeah.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
yeah. I was like, yeah, that works. Cool. Which led me into my second thing. I don't know how we forgot because I ragged about him all last time. It was Michael Giacchino. Dang it! I can forgive certain scenes in this movie just because the Klingon score here
in this movie. It's wild. It's like more subtle. It's like the wonderful like piano beat over the whole like
the
second prologue.
Yeah, the second prologue.
Or whatever. So good.
Yeah. Everyone had a distinct sound, and I was like, when the Klingon score comes on, I think about that a lot. Even the Enterprise falling out of the sky, which even if I'm like rolling my eyes at what's happening, I'm not rolling my eyes at what I'm hearing. I'm like, oh, it's very like if I were more invested, I might be teared up.
The music actually does several times trick me into feeling emotions as to what's going on screen, and then my brain will go, "What?"
Because Giacchino's trying. You know, he's not going, it's just Star Trek. He's like, it's Star Trek.
He's that meme of the guy on the beach with the piano that's on fire. Like, he's that guy. He went way harder than the mission brief would require.
Yeah, and God love him.
Michael Caine and Muppet Carol just being like, I'm going to do this as straight as a heart attack.
So good. But yeah, the Klingon look, I love it. Like, especially now that we have the Discovery Klingon redesign, like seeing how many similarities those two have together, it's top notch. I love this. I wish that this was the Discovery Klingons.
Yeah,
same.
very true. Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I had to say about the movie. Unless you guys have anything else you want to bring up.
I honestly feel like we've talked about this 13 minutes longer than it deserved to be talked about.
Probably.
We didn't get into a tizzy though, so I'm very proud of us. Like we didn't.
I know.
It's because we all agreed.
Yeah,
that's true.
Well, but I thought maybe we might get into like a feedback loop where it's like, hey, remember this thing that pissed us off, and like, oh, yeah, you know. But we got some of that out, and then just never. So I'm proud.
Yeah.
I'm proud of us.
I know. I have a lot of stupid, pedantic nitpicks of this movie, but it just makes me frustrated how good it could have been with just a few rewrites.
Yeah, it really was not that far away from being one of the better Star Trek movies.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, this crew is too good. to
They're
pump
they're
out
very
this.
good.
Yeah, there's so many other movies where you're like casting's not quite right, and it have so many other issues, but you've just done a fantastic job getting this team together, and to have them come out with a dud like this is
Like, the cast doesn't deserve this.
Nah.
The crew doesn't deserve it either.
well, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like the screenwriters, they deserve it. They deserve a much worse movie. They deserve Star Trek 5.
Well, I mean, they get Amazing Spider-Man 2 right after this, so
Yeah.
where lightning can apparently picture gap tooth.
They killed the second iteration of Spider-Man.
Wasn't that hard to do?
It wasn't. But I think they wrote that one too. Sometimes they write a good movie and sometimes they don't. It's but they also wrote Transformers, so like, who cares? Like, they're in it for the money.
They're in it for the money.
So, but yeah. So I think this episode's in the can.
Yeah, it is.
Normal.
Don't, like, if you want to watch a dumb movie that has a lot of pretty set pieces, watch Star Trek Into Darkness.
Oh, I was gonna say like Space Truckers. I wasn't gonna recommend this movie.
I'll just go back and watch 09.
Yeah,
And now it's on a 4K disc.
or Beyond.
Really?
Yeah.
Or Beyond, which we'll do in 2 weeks.
We're gonna do in 2 weeks.
Beyond, Star Trek Beyond in 2 weeks, it will close
I'm very
out.
excited. What a good one to close out on.
Yeah.
I really want another one. Which maybe we'll
So-
get one.
Maybe. I don't.
I keep hearing.
Same thing. I keep hearing, like, yeah, they're going to do it, and then nothing happens.
I mean, they've got one in development right now. I'm hoping it's with this crew, but we'll see. They might just try to reboot it.
It feels like it would be really hard to get a lot of these people together again.
Yeah, they're all. Well, Chris Pine's pretty busy, but
So is Aldana's really busy too.
she just got done with all of her avatars, so she should be good.
Yeah, I was gonna say they might be more free than give 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes, that would have been. But
Yeah, Simon Pegg's not doing anything.
And what are they going to do about Chekhov?
They'll probably do a thing at the beginning of the movie to like, but they'll just put in a new character.
you can always bring back Jayla.
Yeah, they could always bring back Jayla. There's also, which she was great.
I did like Jayla. They could also bring back Carol Marcus.
They could. My thinking is that they would probably take one of the other navigators from the animated series because it'd be a fun chance to put in an alien crew member. But there's ways.
But I'd be rooting for Jayla.
Yeah.
That would be my pick.
So Kyle, what else? What else did Orsi do after Amazing Spider-Man? He's sort of credited, not credited.
Which thing? Are you talking about Matador?
Nah. It is more trash than Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I'll have to look.
I was
What
wondering if you could guess.
what is
I can
it?
tell you if you want.
Just
The
tell me.
Mummy, the Tom Cruise Mummy.
Oh yeah, he did work on that.
Has he done anything else since then?
No.
No.
Now, Kyle's
Well-
right. Like, this movie and Amazing Spider-Man, that's what just he was kind of steadily pumping stuff out, and then he got to these two, and it just. And to be fair, Lindelof also pumped off to go do, like, was it the
The Leftovers.
Leftovers, and then eventually, like, Watchmen and stuff like that. So,
Yep.
they were generally on different paths. And
But I really think, honestly, like, because it came out after this that he's apparently, or at least at that time, was a 9/11 truther. So that really recontextualizes some of the stuff that he's writing in this movie. So I've always, my tinfoil hat theory is that he was kind of on the outs with these people, and for some of these reasons, because honestly, anybody who in 2013 is still a 9/11 truther probably is a bit weird about things and probably is pretty bullheaded and hard to be convinced about things. And based off of the conflict that they were having over writing the script, I honestly think that they were probably pushing back to try to get some of this plot line out, like the Marcus plot line, because it's very 9/11 truthery. It's a false flag and everything. So maybe they're trying to put con in to try to not have this stuff. But I don't know.
Oof.
Okay. Is there anything?
That's it. That's all I got.
Because 9/11.
There's a worse version of this out there, and there's an alternate version, and obviously not actually shot, but there's a universe that exists where
I think it would be more upsetting because I think that version would be better than what we got,
I think it would be.
but still be very uncomfortable. All right. Anything else we want to talk about? Closing out Into Darkness on 9/11 trutherism. Weirdly appropriate. All right. I am your co-host, Trevor Law.
I'm your producer, Commander Ship.
I'm Kyle. I have a Twitter at JK_Nelson if you want to see me tweet.
All right.
Bye.